So I'm thinking I'll start with just a little bit of paint. I don't want to put too much underneath here. I don't want to make the page too busy before I put my napkin down. But I do want a little bit of colour happening on here, a little bit of something going on in the background. So I'm going to, oh, here's a brand new one. Just put, oh, that was more than I anticipated. Whoops, that'll happen. I'll get my trusty card. That'll do. I might just have a little bit of this really dark one just down here. So yeah, like I said, just want a few little bits. Well, it's probably actually more than I was intending. I've got the little flappy page over here, so we'll just drag a bit out onto there too. Whoops. Okay. And that's probably more than I really wanted. I've got this very, you know, organic looking shapes of the birds and everything. I'm going to go with a more geometric stencil. Baby wipes. And we'll try to lift some of that off. Now, some of you I think might have had some challenges getting your paint to lift off, and it looks like I'm going to have that challenge right here, right now. Sometimes you have to rub quite hard, and that's not even going to work today. Hardly anything. There you go. If you find that you're having trouble lifting off some paint, you can try, and I'm not sure if this is going to work, but we can try, to just spritz it with a spray bottle, just to soften up the paint again, wet it up a bit, and you can try again. Now, this obviously was a bit dirty, it left a bit of a mark on there before. But sometimes that will help you to just lift a bit of pigment out. I don't think it's going to. No, even that's not going to work today. This just does not want... Oh, hang on. But look what cool thing is happening. Where I have written some words, the paint's coming off over the pencil. So that's not really doing much. So let's just, I might pop a bit more gesso in here in spots. I'm going to actually smush it with my hand a bit and not let it get too dry too quick. I'm going to try, and I'm going to lift that out and do some stuff with that. Because that just wasn't playing the game the way I thought it should. And that happens sometimes. And usually it's to point out to you that you're not in control. You never were in control. And it's time to just surrender to whatever the gods of paint and juice and whatever, all the other things have in mind for you. What I discovered there was that my paint dried super quickly and I had a lot of trouble lifting any pigment off the page. So I put a bit of gesso down. Oh, yes, gesso. So gesso, you know, it's a very heavy-bodied white paint, but essentially it works like white paint. So you can bring it in whilever we use it as underwear. You can use it at any point in this process. So that's what we've done here. That didn't kick off anything like the way I thought it was going to. And that's okay. Like, seriously, it's okay. I might just add a little bit more of this colour in a couple of spots. Okay, so it's dry now, and I'm just going to put some rubber stamping on there. And I know I showed you one, but I'm going to go with this one, and I think maybe maybe this one. What I'm trying to do is just get a little bit of texture, a bit of pattern going on in the background here. So I've got my 2 rubber stamps. I'm going to use a Stays On ink. As we talked about, you want a solvent ink, a pigment ink, one that won't be moved by water or moisture if you come back in with more wet media. Okay, so I'll open him up. Now, often you'll see people ink their stamp pads that way. A better way, I think, is to use your stamp pad upside down and tap it onto your rubber stamp like that. Now, I'm not going for a perfectly crisp, absolutely well-defined stamped image here. I'm really looking to just get, like I said, little bits of pattern and texture, so I'm not going to be upset if that happens. And I'm not going to do too much because you can get carried away, and it's perfectly good to actually just let, you know, really faint bits come through and stamp it right off. When you are rubber stamping, I'm just grabbing a baby wipe. Wipe your rubber stamps off with your baby wipes. They've got that bit of moisturising sort of look after baby skin stuff kind of thing in them. Takes the extra ink off and doesn't dry your stamps. It keeps your rubber stamps from drying out and cracking and splitting and nasty business. So I've got that one, and I've got this other one too that it's just looks a bit like cracks in the earth or something. Just works well as something that sits in the background here again. I wouldn't normally do this on my page in case you smooshed over and put some stamp padding where you didn't really want it, but to show you what I'm doing, I did pop it there. So, and for this one, I'm just going to put parts of it down, press in different places so you haven't got that, you know, blocky thing going on. I was going to tell you something then, don't know what it was. It's gone. So yeah, just, and go off the edges of your page, that's what I was going to say, so that it doesn't look like it's all clunked up in the middle. Go off, let it fall off the edges a bit. Let's just do that, there won't be much off that one. Okay, cool, and we'll just clean that one off. You may be able to hear a lawnmower in the background. It's Sunday afternoon as I'm taping this. So I'm hoping that's not going to interfere with your viewing enjoyment or listening enjoyment. Okay, so that takes no time to dry. And I think I'm actually going to put one more. I really like this text coming, sort of peeking through. I've got my words that I've written underneath there. Then this will give you another layer of text that's a different size, different shape, different writing. You really can't see my words anymore. And I just want to let them pop up in patches like that. That might do it. There we go. Got him. That works. Right, that will be enough stamping, I think, for now. So we're going to move right on to our napkin. So unfold your napkin, have a little look at it, and decide, you know, which part you want to incorporate here. So I think for this one, I kind of like this whole thing, and I don't even mind. There's a very funky border on this. So what I'm going to do is just roughly tear the piece that I want, and we run into, you know, a repeat of the image there. So I'll just go up that crease, I think. Tear that apart. And here is the secret, or one of the secrets. You want to get rid of as much of that extra ply as you can, so that you end up with a very fine piece of tissue, very, very fine and light. Sometimes you can even get another layer off after that layer, but I don't think we will in this one. So that's cool. And because, like, this is the cover of my book, so that one tucks back in there, because that's the outside edge for the best, you know, for most of it. I think I'm going to put that there. But that really hard line, that very straight hard line, looks a bit, you know, it's a bit distracting in these pages. So I would really always recommend that you get in and you just tear with your fingers, just to take that just to take that really definite, crisp, straight edge off. And you can even, what do I want to do with that? Yes, I'll do it all the way down. I just don't like that hard bit. This straight edge here, I'm going to line up against the edge of the page, so I'm happy for that bit to stay straight like that, just the rest of it. Grab your matte medium. Now, any glue will work. The beauty of the matte medium is that it's matte, so when it dries clear, and it dries with a matte finish, so you can draw over it, paint over it a bit more, and it's not slick and slippery, and you won't have trouble with stuff sticking to it. So yeah, if you can get a matte glue, that's preferable. Matte medium isn't terribly expensive. Where you buy your acrylic paint, you'll find some of that in there. There's all kinds of paint mediums, and matte medium is just one of them. There's flow medium and crackle medium and all kinds of mediums, and they'll be with your acrylic paint where you buy it. Matte medium is the one you're after. So, having got all that out of the way, I'll just lift that up. I like to just prepare a little area underneath. with some, and you can be a bit rough about it, and it doesn't matter if you go outside the area that you think your napkin's going to sit in, because like I said, it dries clear, it dries matte, it won't matter. Okay, so just get that ready, and then just get a bit on there. Line that up and let that just sit into place. Now you need to a delicate touch is necessary here, a very tender, delicate touch. Once this gets wet, once the medium wets it, this gets very delicate and fragile. So don't be pushing and smearing, just sort of tap it in place to set it down, and then a little bit more on your brush and go gently. You don't want to be dragging the tissue around, you just want to be pressing it in place, and paint from the top too. This sort of, I don't know, it makes like a, I don't know, I guess a bit of a sandwich, and it seals it in the page, and once it dries you will find that what's going on underneath the page will seep up through, and you'll be able to see a lot of the background coming through, particularly the lighter areas of your napkin or tissue. Ordinary tissue paper will do this too if you've got, but you need to watch ordinary tissue paper, because depending on what it's printed with and how it prints, it can activate the colour in it, and you might find that it runs and you get some kind of funny things going on. So just watch that. Go very gently, and as you can see, if I keep pulling at that, I'm just going to do it to show you, and of course it's not going to do it. If you keep pulling at it, this one just if you muck around with it too much, sometimes you will rip. And I've actually been trying to rip it to show you, and it, you know, of course today it doesn't want to. But yeah, just have a very light and gentle hand with that, is what I need to tell you. Now, as I've said to you in our previous video, when you put something on a page like that, it's always good to repeat smaller elements of it somewhere, just so that it doesn't look like, oh well, you just plonk that on there. So I'm going to tear some more. So everything's dry, and I've just been looking at this, and I know I talked about, you know, this hard edge and not liking a hard edge, and even though I tore it, it's still kind of a bit definite and a bit hard looking for my eye. So I think I'm going to do a little bit to soften that up, and I think maybe even try and bring a bit of weight across the bottom here with this just to get rid of this blocky bit. My little birds, as they've dried, are a little bit indistinct, so I'm going to get a coloured pencil and just bring them up a little bit, make them a bit more obvious. And what I think I'm really going to do with this is actually give myself some lines here to do a bit more journaling, a bit more top layer journaling. You might want to incorporate a quote or a bit of just stream of consciousness drivel, or, you know, a shopping list, I don't know, whatever you like. Do is just bring a bit more weight, that sort of really dark colour across the bottom through a stencil. But I don't want it to interfere with what's going on up here. So what I will do is get some paper. This is just paper towel. And just mask that off. So sit that on there. So if there's a bit of overspray or anything weird goes on, it's going to land on that and not on the page. So that's kind of protecting what's underneath there from whatever I'm going to do here. I'm actually thinking that what I want to do with this is dab in some paint rather than spray. That's what I think I want to do. So I've got a little, it's like a stencil brush. So with its, you know, with that very flat end there. And I think this is what I want to do. Like I keep telling you, I'm never really sure. It's probably wise to have this on something. My little glass palette isn't just handy here, so I'll use the back of this card. So put that up here so you can see. So when you want to stencil like that, just pounce your brush up and down so you get a bit of coverage. Importantly, you need to hold your stencil nice and flat. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. There we are. So, you don't have to buy a stencil brush. You can actually just get an ordinary paintbrush and just cut off your brushes flat. Use a cheap brush. You don't want to destroy a good one, but a cheap brush will do for that. If you want to, you can also use a sponge or a paper towel to dab like that too. So just be inventive. That's all. Alrighty, I might just give that a wipe too. Right. So that's given us a little bit more. Let's work that out. Okay, I'm actually going to bring in a different spray. This one's called a Starburst spray. These have a little bit of mica powder in them, so they've got a little bit of shimmery, shiny stuff, which is a bit delicious and lovely. So there's not much left in this one, as you can see, but it settles a bit in the bottom, the powder, so you've got to make sure you get it all nice and juiced up. Let's see if we can make this work a bit better. Here we go. I don't know if you can see the deliciousness of that. It's got a lovely, actually, come We pop this up here. Ah, how yummy is that? Oh, I do like that. Oh, and maybe just up here. Just little bits in places. Okay. Let's see how that, oh, I don't know if it'll show up in the video, but you get this lovely, you know, iridescent sort of glowing sort of stuff coming through there, which is nice. So that heavy blue, that blue was very solid and very, it was a bit hard. So very happy with that on there. Okay, so we've dried up, and I'm gonna just start with colouring in these birds and stuff. I won't talk. I'll just probably buzz. I'll just sit here and do this, and then we'll fast forward through this so you can kind of see what I'm doing. And if I think of anything I need to tell you as I go, I will. But otherwise, I'll just do it so I don't have to think about what I'm doing and talk to you while I'm doing it. What I was looking for there was this blending pencil. So these are Prismacolor pencils. They're a lovely soft lead, and they blend really nicely. And you can get this one, which is a colourless pencil, and it actually it blends them together. So you can. It's easier if I show you always. You can use it to blend all your colours in together, and it gives you a lovely sort of muted, blended finish, which kind of pleases me. Now I could probably muck around with those birds for a lot longer and bring more definition into them and make them very snazzy. But I'm not going to, not right now. I'll probably come back later and do it. And if you all weren't sort of sitting here watching me, I possibly would. But you are, and I don't want to bore the brains off you. So I'm going to just keep this pretty simple at this point. That pencil isn't, as you can see, wanting to, that pen I mean, it's a bit unhappy, that one. A better one here. I don't want to make marks that are terribly dark. In fact, I might even leave that. Yeah, I will probably later come back to those and just keep working on them, keep bringing colour into them, just to make them pop up off the page a bit more. And I will do that later. I'm feeling right now like I need to move on. Also this feather here, I feel like we could bring him out a bit. I'll get my China pencil again and just bring a bit of definition in under here, which might actually make our little birds stand out a bit more. I could keep fiddling around with this for a really long time, and I expect I'll come back to it more and more and more. These little birds, they need a bit more colour in them and a bit more life, maybe even a little bit of metallic, you know, pen or possibly even paint, just to lift them up off the page a bit. But I'm going to, for now, call it done, partly because I don't have a lot of time and I just want to get this video loaded before I go away. And yeah, that's really mainly why. And I want to show you, so yeah, just keep on playing, yeah, add a bit more, take a bit out, you know, like we did last time, only just keep going. That's what I want to tell you. Just keep going until you feel happy. And if you're not feeling happy, then keep going till you do. Yeah, just, you're playing. This is for you, remember? It's for you. So just what I wanted to show you now was just that you can bring in some lines to write in and to draw in and what have you. So I've got a pigment pen, you know, just, you know, it's a felt tip pen. Some will work better than others and have a play and see, but I've got this one. And so what I'm going to do is just give myself some lines to write here and then down here. I'm not really sure what I'm going to write yet, but first of all, I'm just going to give myself the lines. And I like, and you can do straight lines, or you can do mad, crazy, curvy lines that don't really match up. Same thing over here. You could do these in pencil and erase them later, but I kind of don't mind when they show up loudly either. Okay, so we have lines. I've got a gold pen. I'm not sure how that will show up on here, so I'll just test it out over here. It's not very obvious. I think next to the black it's going to be a bit lost. Yeah, when I run into the black it picks a bit of the black up, but yeah. It's looking, and it's, that one's silver, not gold. Now when you're writing, a lot of people will say, oh, but I hate my handwriting. Play with it. Just play with it. Have a bit of fun. You don't actually need to be able to read it. Nobody needs to be able to read it. What you're doing on here is creating another layer of, think of it as another layer of marks, another layer of pattern. You don't actually have to be able to read it. So have fun with it. Vary the sizes of your letters. Have them long and skinny. Have them wide and fat. Write in capitals. Write in lowercase. Write in cursive. Mix it up and just have fun. And don't get hung up about what it looks like. Just enjoy it. There we go. I kind of like that the gold pen gets lost. You can't really read it, but there's just that little suggestion of something there. It's a little bit like a secret, which is what all that feels like, really, now that I've written it. And then it's just a matter of coming in and just prettying up. Like, you can probably put some, a bit of a fan of the dots, as you might have noticed. There could be so much more. Okay, I'm deciding to wrap this up. I'm not entirely happy with that. Under other circumstances, I would fiddle with that a lot more and probably do a lot more. And I may come back to it down the track and show you what I do, what else I do with it. In a couple of days, Alan and I head off for a month, as I said, and there's a lot of pressure right now to get a lot of other stuff done. I really wanted to put something else up for you before I went, so I'm going to do this, but I just wanted to say I'm not entirely excited about that, but I hope that you've discovered how to incorporate those tissue napkins into your pages, and that it can be really fun. It should be fun and light, and I feel like this really wasn't, and so I'm not 100% happy with it, but you know, I think it's worth sharing with you, because sometimes you're not. Sometimes you sort of go, ugh, you know, that just isn't floating my boat. And that's okay. It doesn't have to float your boat every time. And part of the reason it's not floating my boat is because I can, you know, I'm feeling this real pressure to get it done, and if I weren't in that space, then it would be a whole other situation. So, and that's something I've completely put on myself, by the way. I chose that. But yeah, I just really wanted to tune in with you guys again before we went, and leave you something to have a play with. So have a play with the tissue paper in your journals, the serviettes. Remember to peel that top layer off and take as much of the backing tissue away as you can. Matte medium is your friend. And write and play around with writing as another layer, another texture, another pattern, another design element. I did want to, oh god, and of course I can't, here. Something that could be really handy is this book, The Art of Whimsical Lettering by Joanne Sharp. She, you know, if you really want to explore the whole writing in your journal thing and using it as a top layer, as a design element, as actually part of your page, lots of fantastic ideas in there. And she'll talk about, you know, how to develop your handwriting. And, you know, your handwriting is you. It's a special part of you. And nobody else's handwriting is quite like yours. So you try and quiet that voice that says, oh, but my handwriting's so crap. Because I know lots of people have it. You wouldn't believe how many times I hear that. So yeah, that's a good one, if that's something that you want to kind of explore a bit more. Can't think of anything else to tell you. I'm sure there's more. Have a wonderful time with this. As I said, we're going off across the Tanami to Broome, across country in our camper trailer. It's going to be a very big adventure. I'm not sure how much internet access I will have while we're gone. I may not be able to tune in as often as I might like. But no, I'll be thinking of you all, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what you might do and the cool things that you're all going to make. The work you've been doing is beautiful and wonderful and exciting, and I really appreciate that you've been sharing it. And yeah, I'll tune in from the road somewhere. But have a wonderful time while I'm gone, and shout out and ask me any questions, and yeah, rock on. Have fun. Love you all. Bye.